Yo, yo, yo. Guys, it is so sad that I gotta make a video like this, talking about stuff that really doesn't help or benefit anyone in the long run and even in the short term, other than maybe, I don't know, maybe learning, from each other basically, But notwithstanding that, I'm thinking videos that are educational, informative, that should be the basis of everything that we do, because you're adding value to life, and to people that don't know any better, you know what I mean? Because most of us are slaves to the education system that we are taught and that we are brought up in, you know? And the sad reality is that it's not our fault. But then again, if you really come to look at it, right, it is our fault because we've got data now, we've got internet now, we've got Google now, So what excuse do you have for not learning or knowing about things you know nothing about at the moment? So for me, it comes down to ignorance and just not wanting to learn or know stuff, you know what I mean? So that's the way I feel about the American people because I'm just looking at the riches of the country, right? They have access to data. And, I'm not saying each and every one of them do, because obviously there's poverty also in America, but I'm just saying on the average, it's like, it's ignorance more than anything else, or not wanting to know, not wanting to learn. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we had this huge blowout on Twitter not so long ago with this whole Tyler issue, right? And we basically, Americans were like, it's a derogatory term that they say they don't want to be called coloreds, and but they want to be called people of color, and so, it just don't make sense to me, man. It doesn't make sense. I mean, how is it possible that you don't want to be called a colored person but you want to be called a person of color? Difference? I don't see it. Do you? Yes. Okay. So sadly, I was saying that we were busy battling on Twitter, right? Because these people were refusing for Tyler to use the word colored, right? And we are adamant that there is a race and a culture of people called coloreds in Southern Africa. Now, I totally understand. Different countries have different racial classification systems. 100%. I'm totally agreeing to that, right? I don't disagree with that, right? When you're in America, you're not going to use certain words. When you're in Africa, you're not going to use certain words. But here's my argument with the Black American perspective, right? They refuse to be called colored. They want to be referred to as people of color. My question is, what is the difference between being called a colored person and being called a person of color? On the other hand, they say that is a derogatory term, color. They would rather prefer to be called niggers. Now my question again comes, is niggers not a derogatory term? And then, to deny the Southern African people their identity of color is a total just disingenuous move by the Americans. Because to be honest, their system is not the South African system. And the South African system is not the American system. So where do we draw a middle ground where everyone can be happy with calling each other by the rightful terms? You get what I'm saying? So yes, I totally agree that the word colored was a derogatory term in Southern Africa. But they took that negative term and turned it into a positive. They took it and they owned it and they empowered themselves with it, right? Same like the niggas in America. That word nigga is a derogatory term, but they took it, owned it, and they empowered themselves with it, right? Now it's in the music, now it's in the movies, it's part of their culture now, which is cool. It got a positive connotation to it now, right? Right. So now, my question still remains: if you prefer to be called nigger over the word colored, and you prefer to be called a person of color, what is the difference? I really don't understand. Maybe I'm wrong. Please help me, educate me. I could really do it because I'm here to learn more than anything else. So please help me if you know anything that I do not know. So I have to say this, right? I totally disagree with the American classification system, racial classification system, because one, this is my theory, right? And I could be wrong again. Listen to this. Slaves were taken from basically three countries, if I'm not mistaken, mainly three countries. Could have been other countries, but the three major countries slaves were taken from was Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal, right? These three countries have three different tribes, religions, languages, cultures, heritage, traditions. Okay, so these people were taken, put into one plantation, right? They probably couldn't understand each other when they first got there, right? They had to find a common way of communication. And obviously the master's language became that language, right? So here's my thing. Because black Americans lack this whole tribal issue, right? They all they were all just lumped into one race group based on skin color, not on tradition, not on cultural lines, but on skin color. Understand what I'm saying? You cannot tell me that if you trace your roots back to Nigeria and someone else traces their roots back to Liberia, someone else traces their roots back to Senegal, you're going to tell me these are all the same people? No, they're not. Definitely not. So it's only obvious that the American racial classification system was done in such a way that it just takes people who are non-white, put them into one group, and then the whites obviously in a separate group. That's all it basically is. It had nothing to do with trying to put people into the traditional, cultural, ethnical, and tribal groups. It was just like, if you're not white, you're black, and that's it. And funny enough, the black Americans accepted that. None of them were ever trying to say, guys, I'm of Nigerian descent. Who else is of Nigerian descent? They just like, well, if you're not white, you're black. If you're not black, you're white. Dude, what about tradition and culture? What about heritage? What about lineage? So you guys ignore all that. All that is out of the window, and all what matters to you is skin color, skin tone. Are you kidding me, guys? Even in America itself, right now, I can guarantee you right now, colorism is a big issue. You guys want to claim that if you're not black, you're white, but there is colorism in the black society. There's many girls that I watch on YouTube. They say they've never dated a light skin before, you know, and that just goes to show you that the Black American culture that we see in hip hop and it's not all rosy as it seems, as they want to make it seem. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we as Africans on the continent and Africans in the diaspora, those that want to be, we need to find a solution to this problem because we are at the end of the day, to be honest, we are one. We are one because Black Americans, you guys know for a fact that you are not wanted in America, and the police force actually shows proof of that you are not wanted in America. You are also not wanted in Europe as the way things stand now. So where else would you have to go if you have to leave? Africa. That's home. So I'm trying to say, let us form, let us find solutions to this problem that we have of ignorance. Let's use the internet. Let's use whatever means necessary to learn about each other's cultures, to be accepting of each other, and stop looking down and just hating on each other. Because at the end of the day, we are all being harassed and discriminated against, whether we're in Africa, whether you're in America, whether in Europe. If you're black, you're African, let's accept it, let's work on it and see where we can improve it and then work forward from there. I mean, it would be great if all the people in the diaspora could come back to the mother continent and help grow it. help develop it, and then we can take it to a higher, whole new level. You know what I mean? That would be the ultimate goal, the ultimate dream. But sadly, a lot of people don't see it that way. A lot of people just think that, well, I haven't been there, I'm not born there, so I want nothing to do with the continent. But on the other hand, the people that brought you over there want you to come back, because every single day, I promise you, across America, across Europe, there's someone every second or every minute telling another black person to go back to Africa. Guess what? And Africa is waiting. Holla.